Oh, I'm recording. Okay, so there has been a lot of ground that I've covered since my last video because this quest to keep all the inks and pencils on the same level has resulted in some challenges that caused me to actually lose some work, and I had to restore the project from a backup in order to get back on track. So no harm done though. I was able to do so. And so now I'm into inking mode. I've decided I'm going to take this sequence that's gotten pretty long and just go ahead and get it inked. Okay. So what am I doing? Well, right now the stuff that had been inked previously, and some of it had been painted as well, frankly is probably going to be redone. Most of it. So I just turned that level off. And so I'm working in this level, and what I have is, per the video I posted earlier today, actually showing how you can move all the lines from one palette entry to another, which is only important if you're working on a single level, because I want to be able to delete these lines later, and you can't delete these two palette entries, 0 and 1. So what I did was I did a fill operation on all the pencil lines, and I'll just turn my ink down to 0 opacity for a moment to illustrate this. So these pencil lines, what I did was I actually used the fill operation, hit the F key in rectangular mode, only filling lines in a frame range. And then what I did was I went to my first frame, drew a rectangle around the entire screen, and then I went all the way down here to my last frame and did the same thing again. And because of that, OpenTunes then filled in the entire frame range, effectively coloring all my lines with this palette color instead of this one, which means I now have the ability to, once I get my ink done, I can just delete this palette entry and all these pencil lines will permanently disappear. Now, having said that, I want to say that it probably would be good practice when you've got a pencil test that's ready to go. It's probably well advised to render that pencil test out and actually just save the whole image sequence somewhere else, just in case you need to get it back, because the way I had to restore it from a backup was, shall we say, somewhat painful. But not the end of the world either. You know, I knew I was going to be able to get it back. So anyway, so here we are with all this stuff. This stuff is all on a separate just raster level. I have a feeling once it's all comped together it's going to look pretty good. So that brings me down to here, and it's just inking time. And because I kind of have I've got my brush settings kind of where I want them for Animate. It's taken me a while to sort of get it dialed in and figured out exactly what I want to do, but basically I'm using a 5-pixel brush, whereas I used to use both a variable size one and also a little bit smaller, like closer to 3 pixels. And what I'm finding is that is ill-advised. 5 pixels seems to be about right. And the thickness of the brush also is helpful when you're doing a wide shot of a character like this one, where it sort of tells you how much detail to put into the character, because obviously if the character is small on the screen and your brush is a certain size, you're only going to be able to get so much detail in, and I find that that actually protects you as an animator. It forces you to maintain a level of detail that's just about appropriate to what you're going to want people to see on the screen. So anyway, by getting these settings dialed in and going through the process of restoring this from a backup and whatnot, I've kind of got a better grip on my workflow even than I did before. So all in all, it's a good thing. You'll notice that I'm not being as anal about making sure all my lines are closed, because there's no point actually in making sure they're perfectly closed all the time, because really a lot of times I don't want to have lines around everything, and that's why I'm using this one. I'm using this color here and there to just fill in spots that I know are going to be filled with color later, but not actually have dark ink lines around them. So this color has auto paint for lines turned on, which makes it so that when I do fill this with color, these red lines will disappear. So that kind of brings it up to date. I am also not drawing eyebrows on her, because I know that the eyebrows are going to be filled in with a really simple brush later, kind of over top of everything else. We've chosen to follow the anime convention. It's not like a rule, but it's kind of a convention that eyebrows tend to lie on top. So I could fix this now by doing something like that, and I probably want to be in under all mode here so that these areas are closed up. But one thing I've definitely arrived at is that I do not want to use the erasable lines for shadowing. I've kind of realized that that's a bit of a non-starter for me. So I'm only using auto paint for lines for essentially for border areas where I want it to be filled with color, and I want the color to stop here, and I want the lines to disappear. I'm not so much thinking I'm going to use it for shadows, because frankly, by putting the shadows on a different level and just using transparency, they just look better, and they're a lot easier to control, and the whole process is way faster. So even though anime convention would have it that you're going to indicate shadow and highlight areas with color that then disappears when you fill it, I'm choosing not to do it that way. So anyway, getting this stuff figured out has really been helpful, because it's speeding up the workflow a lot. Like I'm definitely moving faster now and liking the results. So you can kind of see it here. If we take this color here, which is what the pencils are, and just get rid of it, you see it, you know, it's got that flattened, inked and painted look, but yet I think it's holding the integrity of the loose, sketchy drawings better than what I was doing before. So that's an improvement, and we like improvement. Right? So with that, we keep moving quickly. We keep moving quickly. And again, same thing here. We can't have as much detail because he's much smaller on the screen. And I've made this determination by simply looking at anime, you know, just looking at what the characters look like when they're drawn at different scales, etc., etc. It seems to me that the Yul Brynner movie, I remember when I was a kid seeing a commercial for The King and I think it's The King and I believe that's the story. And I remember the preview. This is when I was like 12 years old or something, for the 4 o'clock movie on Channel 5, back when there were only 3 channels. I remember the kids saying, etc., etc., etc. So, if anybody remembers that from the Yul Brynner movie, well, I guess we have a shared memory, don't we? Alright, so, anyway, like I said, just moving quick here. Boom, boom. And because of the scale, we don't have to put a lot of detail into the gloves or the hands, because this guy's going to be pretty small on the screen anyway. And it doesn't do you any good to draw something you're not going to see. Okay, he's got to have his band, though, that blue band that these guys have. Okay. There's his little leather pack thing. There's his waistband. And so anyway, like I said, now that I've got my brushes dialed in, I'm finding I'm being a lot looser in the inking with, okay, that was stupid, looser with just going ahead and adding some this kind of stuff, just sort of, I guess keeping it loose would be a good way to put it. And that I'm not happy with. Every once in a while I'll run into a line that I feel like it really needs to be precise, and then I'll just hit the G key and use the arc tool, which I'm going to use here as well. Just go click, click, drag, click, click, drag, click, click, drag. There. Yeah, he's pretty much done. Now, before I draw the other guy, I want to make sure I don't have other frames with the same guys in it. Okay, so now there is a bit of a problem here. Do I want to deal with this now or come back to it? Basically, the problem is because the... Oops. Forgot I had the arc tool selected. Okay. Actually, I think I'm going to leave that out. I'm going to leave this looser. Go like this. There we go. This guy is probably going to require a couple of frames. So what are we going to do? Well, let's do this. Let's hit Alt down arrow, which inserts a frame. Okay. And then what I'm going to do, this is a little clunky, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this image, and then I'm going to go up here and I'm hitting the W key. I'm sorry, the Q key. No, I got to get up to 340, and then get this one back to 339. I wanted to reverse those because what we need here is a different drawing on this guy. So I'm going to go back to my pencil marker and hitting Alt drag to make the eraser a lot larger, you know, quickly. Okay, and now I'm going to grab this and kind of make an adjustment like that. And now I need to just kind of draw this guy. Alright. Okay. His head really should be slightly bigger there, I think. Alright, let's go ahead and zoom in a bit. Okay. Keep hitting the wrong button, so I go back instead of forward. Let's do it that way. Once again, the Alt key. I wish I could dynamically size all the brushes that way too. That'd be super cool. Okay, that's... He's got to have some ears. Alright, let's just check what we got going here. Okay, so he says, "My sincere apologies." Sir, what are you doing? Okay, so I am keenly aware that the continuity between these two drawings isn't the greatest in the world, but I also knew that I was going to fix it, so... Okay, and I think for simplicity's sake, I don't think there's any need to draw his hands up in the air like I did. I think that's kind of stupid looking, actually. So I'm going to erase those. And... oh wait, I'm sorry, my bad. His hand should be up because these guys are both well, they've got their hands up. So I'm just going to draw the shape of his hand like this. And so this tells me an even more serious scale problem. Alright. That's better. Okay, so for this one, since we're making that change, we can go grab this, make it a little smaller. Okay, and then we'll grab the rest of this from here. Control C. Go to the previous frame, paste that in, and fine. Now I can go ahead and ink him, and then I'll also cut and paste the ink from one to the other. So alright, and since I'm going to be lazy today, I'm going to go Control C, Control V, and I'm going to flip this around, stick it there. Piece o' cake. Again, if this was a closer shot, I wouldn't be so simplistic with the fingers and stuff, but I think in this case we can sort of get away with it. Okay, obviously we have another problem we're going to fix right now. And I like that. Yes. Okay, gotta get that in there. Gotta get his little band thingy, and then right about here would be his waist band thingy. Okay, now I don't like this hand. shoot. Okay, what I want to do is I really want to get him behind the other guy, so that, I mean, that's where it really wants to be, so I'm going to suffer through a bit of erasing in order to make it work. No problem. No problem. Hopefully that's kind of sort of about right. Let's see. Not quite. Well, that's the problem with being all zoomed in like that. You can't really see where things are. Okay, so there's definitely some stupidity here that needs to be addressed. Okay, that's better. Getting too eager. Okay, so now interestingly, this sort of underscores another problem here. I think I'm kludging here. This is definitely not the trying to massage a finished inked drawing like this as opposed to going back and making sure the sketch is right is really not good practice, but in this case I'm letting myself get away with it a little bit. Okay, what about this? Okay. Oh heck, let's just get rid of that line. Okay. Okay, that's better. Alright, so now let's take a look between here and here. Okay. What I'm going to do is actually erase all of this so that I can select everything here. Control C, go to the next frame, Control V, and I'm going to do a selective erase that gets only rid of the lines in the ink, not rid of the lines in the sketch. Turn selected back off because generally I don't want that on. Okay, and now let's go back here and let's get this guy inked. Boom, 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 boom. That wasn't very good, was it? That was a bit sloppy. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. I hope you don't find it too annoying that I say boom, boom, boom while I'm doing this. I tend to say stupid things when I'm really moving quick and just kind of get in the zone, right? Okay. There's that. See the next line, or next picture. That couldn't possibly suck more. Okay, so yeah, I'm actually moving a little too fast here. Okay, let me just boom, boom, boom. Okay, I don't want to get things out of whack on my hair continuity here. So I need to kind of be... Okay, you know what I should do is just turn on the... Okay. Just turn on the onion skins. Yes, I can talk. Really, I can. Okay. I usually leave the onion skins off, but every once in a while they come in handy. Alright. Let's give them a little bit more. Okay, now we gotta close this. And okay, there's a pretty obvious problem right there. Yeah, I mean, the things I'm messing up here are kind of stupid, in my opinion. I mean, it's really kind of ridiculous. But it can happen when you zoom out too much. Basically, you can lose perspective and a sense of where things are relative to each other. So, that's my excuse. Okay, so now here we have some obvious opportunity for leverage. So let's grab this, Control C, go to the next frame, paste that in, back to the B key, zooming in, baby, zooming in. Okay. Boom, boom. Akari's so beautiful. Okay, that did not work. I made her less beautiful by hurrying, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay. Probably want to do that here too. I may change my mind later. That's my prerogative. This is where Akari's going. This shouldn't, hold on. Control Z. This should not be under all. This should be overall. If you don't have overall enabled, then some of these, because they're on the same level, these sketch lines can actually interfere with the way the ink goes down. And you'll notice, by the way, that I'm also not dealing, I guess I mentioned this earlier, not dealing with the eyebrows at this point. Okay. And, okay, that's silly. Alright. Golly. Okay. Yep, looks pretty good. And we can confirm that by just turning the... Yeah. Turning it down. Of course, that revealed a bit of an issue right here. I don't know what the heck that is. Okay, and while we're here, I'll go ahead and seal that off. I'm going to go ahead and add some closure here on my shapes. I don't think it's that important to be doing this right now, but what the heck, as long as I'm here and I'm thinking about it. No harm in that. Okay. So like I said, there's a lot of areas where there's going to be shadows ultimately, and I'm not going to do them with auto paint for lines. Okay, so now what happened right there? Okay, so now we appear to have a disaster on our hands, and the only explanation is, it's because I had turned down this palette entry's opacity. Turned the alpha down. Whew, scared there for a minute, huh? I guess I do like them red better than some other colors one might choose. Okay, now we've got the running legs, so let's crank it actually up a bit. Okay, so here's a point where there is a bit of another issue. The way I drew that step happening is kind of dumb. So let's just go ahead and fix this a bit. I didn't really do a proper walk cycle here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to come back to the legs because I really want to look at the walk cycle a little more carefully, and plus I want to give some thought to the costuming of those leggings. So with that, I'm just going to keep rocking and rolling through this stuff. Yes, I know what you're thinking. Couldn't you just copy and paste some of these lines from the other pose that was frighteningly similar to this one? Yes, I could. But by gum and by golly, I need the practice. So I'm going to just keep drawing. Boo-doop, boo-doop, doop, doo. She hears a noise. Okay. Right? Keep it simple, Sherlock, as the saying goes. Zoom in. When in doubt, zoom in. Some great man said that. I don't know if that's true. I just made that up. I'm going to use the... Oh, really? You silly thing. I'm going to use the arc tool right here. Like that. Back to the B key. Fill that in. Boom. 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 Something over yonder got her attention. Okay. By the way, those lines should be closed or they won't fill properly. That's one thing I must admit I haven't really been doing today, is turning on the fill check, but looks pretty good. And okay, so here we are definitely gonna use some leverage. Let's go Control A, Control C, go to the next frame, hit the S key again, hit Control V, and the only thing that changes, well actually, what I really should have done is use the S key, then by hitting the Shift key, I can grab that And yep, there we go. And holy cow, it's been 35 minutes. Okay, so now I think the only thing I want to draw here at the moment is Akari. Because in keeping with what I was saying earlier about level of detail, I'm enjoying the practice I'm getting at being sort of prudent with my levels of detail. Okay, and of course she has her skirt on, so it's a great example of how obviously I don't know what I'm doing once I get past that sketch. It's like, okay, dude, you did not have this planned as well as you thought you did you? Sometimes I don't. It's true. So, yeah, I mean, that's actually, if I hit the N key so it's actual size, I mean, there you go. So that seems about right to me. Not bad, and she should have some semblance of slipperage, although obviously it doesn't make sense. My basic logic is that when she did this move, not only did she fix her hair, and this isn't supposed to be magic, this is supposed to be just her moving really fast, but we're just going to pretend that when she did that, she managed to put some slippers on, because who sleeps in their slippers, right? Nobody sleeps in their slippers. Valerie, do you know anybody who sleeps in their slippers? I don't think so. I don't think so. Okay, and because I'm having so much fun, I'm going to skip to this guy. I want to ink this guy. I'm in the mood. So I'm hitting the tilde key to go to full screen mode. And here we go. So obviously we're going from a concept that has a fair amount of shading involved to a concept that's very much just lines. So that means that at some point we're going to have to figure out how we're going to get those shaded areas in there. And the basic thinking is we're going to use some more of that auto paint for lines concept. You know, it is definitely a bit of a, you know, you're going from that to that, okay? So I have to make that decision. Where am I going to put the lines? Go ahead and you know, delineate the full color or filled in areas versus you know, maybe blocks of just shadow area or whatever, that sort of thing. So I don't think I'm going to know for sure if I'm happy with this guy until I have actually painted it, colored it in. But that's okay. For the most part, these lines are lines that I do know for a fact I'm going to want in there. This guy's got really broad shoulders, by the way. And admittedly, it looks like this guy's wearing essentially a bathrobe or something. So that's something that probably needs to be addressed at some point. I think for now what I'm going to do is, since these are so explicit, I'm going to go ahead and do it the old anime way. I think that will be okay. But like down here under his neck and stuff, I'm gonna do the like I'm not gonna do that. Those kind of shadows I'll do with a transparency layer. So now in this guy's case, what I basically need to do is I didn't like that one. That one looks like Google eyes, ghost eyes or something. That's better. Okay, and once again, I'm going to defer on the eyebrows. Eyebrows are the one thing I'm deferring on because I think I'm going to go slap eyebrows. Once everything else is done, I'm just going to paint eyebrows over the top. I think that's the plan. Yeah, that's not too bad. That actually looks pretty good. Okay. Okay, so as long as I'm here, what time is it? 40 minutes. 40 actual productive minutes. I've been booking here pretty good. I'm booking. Booking, baby. Well, it's fun. Once you sort of have the workflow figured out and you're not fighting with your tools, it becomes a lot more fun. And she's got her beautiful little ears and her pretty little jawline. That's not quite right. That's a little too square, actually. I think that needs to be rounded just a little bit. Okay. Okay. Boom, boom. Okay, she's got this little thing that's got to be closed. And then boom, boom. Okay. Well, this proved to be a mistake, didn't it? That's better. So poor Akari is a little too confident at this juncture. Because she's going to get a surprise. She thinks that Ren, or Zen, or is it Zen? I can't even remember. I think it is Zen. She thinks her friend is behind her, when in fact he's not. Oh my goodness. I hate when that happens. When you think you've got help that just came in the back door, and then you find out that, no, actually you are manifestly alone. Manifestly alone. With no visible source of help anywhere to be found. There we go. Gotta make sure those lines are close. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Hit the erase key. And that needs to come down to there. Obviously. And this needs to be cleaned up. And I guess as long as we're here, we should probably clean that up too. And clean that up too. And oh my gosh, look at all the things we have to clean up. Close enough for rock and roll. Okay, and now she's about to get another surprise, because whoa, she's going to find out that it is not Zen who's behind her, but rather Mr. Evil. Yep, Mr. Evil is behind her. And I don't know about you, but I hate it when I find out that Mr. Evil is behind me. Now I want to go ahead and correct this right now while I'm thinking about it. I'm just going to draw that in and... Okay, that was kind of lame. G key. G key. There you go. Wasn't much of an improvement, was it? No. And that's because this is wrong. Okay, so I actually think this whole thing looks stupid. I'm gonna fix this. I'm playing the role here of an inker instead of an animator, and I'm being careless because I'm not. When I'm doing the pencil test, the only way I can describe it is I'm thinking through the drawing. I sort of see it in my head before I draw it. When I am inking, I tend not to be working that way. Actually, I tend to just be. I'm just flying. I'm just covering the lines, and as a result, I can get sloppy. Well, I'm gonna actually address this way. I don't know why that doesn't look right. She looks too big or something. So B, and I am going to flip the canvas and also save my work. Save early, save often. But I'm gonna flip the canvas so that I get a fresh perspective and can think about her proper anatomy. That's like a lot better. Now, one thing that's also suggested by this is that I don't think her hair, her tassels, pigtails, whatever you want to call them, I don't think they would fall where I had them before. Okay, good. So now, as we approach the 50-minute mark, we'll get this drawing done, then I think I'm going to call it good for this evening. So yeah, and again, when you're inking, if you're zoomed in this far, obviously you can't really make good judgments about the underlying drawing because you can't see it all. You can't see how things relate to each other in terms of scale and positioning. So, well, if you're confident in your drawing and you know that it's right, then that's no big deal. You can do it that way. If your drawing has issues, the likelihood, it seems, is that they're going to get worse, not better, through the inking stage. Okay, I want to check the positioning of her this little wingdinger that sort of holds her hair in place. Okay. She says Zen. Pull out. Let's check it against... Oh yeah. Didn't finish up here. Okay. I'm going to come back in and put the hair in after I get the rest. Okay. So now this is going to be about here. Alright. And I'm just going to scale that down. Come on, baby. It's being kind of stupid about letting me fine-tune the freaking size of the brushy poo. So that's alright. Got that. This was a little too thick anyway, so that's fine. Okay. Zoom in so we can see what we're doing. Well, I guess we need some little indication there, and I think one thing that's really bugging me is this. She does not have a bull neck like a freaking NFL football player. No, not at all. She's a delicate little girl, a delicate flower. Yes. So delicate. Okay, this is a little embarrassing that I'm struggling so much with such a stupid little part here, but... Okay. There we go. And once again, we can kind of check it by going, boop. Yeah. Not bad. I guess that'll be the same color as her strap, so... Kind of playing with a little bit of a coincidence there, the way that all lines up. But basically, I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to have to decide later how I deal with these shadowy characters who appear in the background. I guess they're not there yet. Right now it's just this guy. And then later, here they come. These guys walk in. She's got a little bit of a decision to make. What did you do to Zen? She drops the knives. It's quite amazing how much there is in this scene. Okay, now we have a problem. This sequence needs to come up here. Because when I created these 5 frames here, it moved the other ones down, which is not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. So then this guy dives at her, and boom! That rips her dress. Oh! Uh-oh. Yikes. And he gets biffed in the jewels. And that pretty much brings us up to date, actually, because there's some frames that I have to redraw here that were kind of screwed up. So, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, anyway. So that's that. It is 54 minutes. It's probably a good time to stop. I'm going to hit Save All. And there used to be, this is an OpenTunes issue, is that there used to be an AIF audio file in the project, and the level was deleted, but for some reason OpenTunes maintains the reference to that audio file, even though it's not there in the project anymore, and so it continues to want to try to save it, and so it continually reports to me that it can't, which wouldn't be a big deal, but I will say that ever since that came up, whenever I go to save it, I sort of have to wait a second. Saving isn't like as instantaneous as it was, so presumably OpenTunes is sort of searching for the file or whatever. It's doing something behind the scenes that's causing it to choke before it pops that dialog up. So there's definitely some tendency on the part of OpenTunes to maintain references to files that have been absolutely deleted from the project. I guess since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and do this one last frame since this one's half done. Hitting the B key, and boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. I better stop saying boom. I'm really going to tick some people off. It's like, dude, your video would be great if you didn't say boom all the time. It's like so not cool, man. Well, yeah, I'm not cool. I've never claimed to be cool. I was never the cool guy in school. I was the artist. I was the artist in school. The people I hung around were listening to... well, okay, I shouldn't say this. You know how you get some people in art class or in school that are artsy types, and they tend to stick to themselves as a group a bit. And this group, when I was in high school, I really was not part of that group. Okay. And it was a cool group. I mean, one of the people in that group was Mark Hamburg, who went on to be the guy that basically guided Photoshop through to most of its success, and frankly wrote most of the program Lightroom, which he wrote in Lua mostly. And Mark Hamburg and I hated each other. We get along now, though. We're friends on Facebook and stuff. But yeah, Mark was... Oh, and he was the valedictorian. Smart guy. He was into computers way ahead of the curve, because we're talking 1984, 83, 84. This is before PCs were a thing. I don't know what his career arc was exactly, but he wound up with Adobe and changed the world, man. Did some really cool stuff. So, but anyway, the kids in art class they tended to listen to Yes a lot. And I was not into Yes. I like Yes okay now, but I'm not like a huge fan. But I remember Alice Lee was a very good artist. She and I kind of competed. You know how in every class there's always the kid who's like the artist in class, sort of viewed as the best artist in the school or in the class or whatever. And I think Alice and I sort of competed for that. But like I said, I never really... Most of the guys I hung out with at that time were older, actually. They were older guys who tended to be had an affinity for a slightly older generation. They were like guys that were kind of out of their time a little bit. They were still smoking a fair amount of weed, and frankly, at that time, that was becoming passé. The sort of flower child thing had come and gone. Everything was all about the excitement of new technology and whatnot, I guess. And it was horrible because... okay, I want to change this. The thing that was happening was very synth and sample driven music. Okay, what was happening in music at that time? So in other words, Yes, and the stuff that I did listen to more like Rush was actually becoming out of date by that point in time. And what you get on the radio was very much the synth-driven stuff. This was the beginning of MTV. So, you know, things like Tainted Love by Soft Cell and True by Spandau Ballet. And anyway, you couldn't hear a guitar on the radio. Where I lived, there was not one station. The only station that had rock and roll had changed formats just when I hit the age where I was like kind of discovering music. They changed their format. WHNN switched from playing AC/DC and Ted Nugent and, you know, you name it, Alice Cooper, blah, blah, blah. You know, it was that period of time. They switched from that to basically Kenny Rogers. And nothing wrong with Kenny Rogers. I mean, the guy had a great career. But I was not into it at the time, I must say. I was not into it at all. And so I had wires strewn all over my bedroom. Oops, wrong color. I had wires strewn all over my bedroom to extend the antenna of my FM radio so I could pull radio stations like from Chicago or Jackson, because Q106 was still a great station back then. Q106 out of Jackson was a really good rock and roll station. So what happens? I go to Michigan State, where if you're at Michigan State, you can listen to Q106 all day long. So what happens? I go to Michigan State and Q106 changes their format to pop. Just long enough for me to be in college. As soon as I got out of college, Q106 switched back to rock and roll. It's like, geez, man, is it like a conspiracy or something here? What's going on? Okay, so now we got another problem. What is that? Come on, what is that, Dave? Her boob is too pointy and too... basically just stupid looking. So let's grab this. Control C. Let's go to the next cell. And I always hit the S key just to make sure that Control V is going to work. Okay. Oh, those days. High school, man. Well, I've showed my age. I don't care. It's fun getting older. Every year gets better. So if you're worried about getting older, don't worry about it, because it gets better, not worse. I really do think that. Okay, so now this is completely screw E. That one's bad. That one's good. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the S key and everything under here we're going to select. We're going to chop it. We're going to hit the E key, make it big. You just erase all of this. S key, Control V. Alright. Now, I can see... Well, that's interesting. I wonder how it got misaligned. That's not acceptable. Oh, I see why. Because Silly Dave was supposed to erase more than he did. That's better. Okay. Now I can go in and patch it. No problem. No problem. Oh dear. That's bad. How did I do that? I know how I did that. I know what I did wrong. I'm thinking that this one is being referenced up north somewhere. I think I know what's going on here. Is it this one? 355. Yep, it is. Okay, so what are we going to do about this? Well, we're going from this to this, and Let's turn the inks way down so we can see how bad it's changing. Yeah, that's pretty awful. That's pretty awful. And I would say that this one looks better. So, yeah, why fight it? I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to literally grab all this, delete it, grab this, Control C, go back here, Control V, and I'm just going to move her eyes. Because sometimes it just doesn't make sense to fight it. Okay. Little bit of erasure. I keep saying I'm going to be done, and then I find more things I want to fix. But I promise I'm really, really, really almost done here. Okay, something's going a little funny with my ink lines. Alright. Let's see. Okay, so obviously we need to turn this up. Oh, it's the running feet. That explains a lot. Okay. And unfortunately, inexplicably, this drawing disappeared completely. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fix it like this. I'm going to just, sorry about that, S key, and actually, because I'm starting to get impatient here, I'm going to go ahead and go into rectangle mode. Okay. And now, just to be sane, let's just erase this so that we can just draw them back in. Like so. Alright, so now okay, and $356. So actually this drawing I need to change. Okay, that's fixed. Okay, I can live with that. I think we're good for now. So with that, I'm going to save all and call it good. And as always, you know I will be back before too horribly long.